It's time to wake up, recover from last night's mess, and get your fix of sports caffeine. It's time to kickstart your day with the latest sports news and opinions. Get ready. Sports Caffeine is live in 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Taylor.
Good morning.
Happy Monday morning. How was your weekend?
It was good. Dad time. So good times.
Yeah, I saw you were at a soccer game or soccer practice with Tatum. So that's always fun. It's another
gorgeous weather here in Florida.
Oh, yeah, it's been beautiful. Sorry for everyone else across the country is freezing. And
everywhere else.
You come to Florida. You're welcome here. We'll take you in. It's beautiful weather today, actually. So starting a little late today because you had a meeting and stuff. But welcome. It's Monday morning. We're back. A lot of good stuff happened this past week. The biggest news story of the week, obviously, was Carson Wentz getting traded to the Indianapolis Colts from Philly. Who won this trade, Taylor? It really gives up a lot of money. They still have $33 million in dead cap space. The Colts had to give up a couple picks there. So who do you see winning this trade?
Yeah, we definitely talked about this last week, that this trade was pretty much inevitable to either the Colts or the Bears. And the Colts ended up being the biggest losers in this trade by a landslide. And this is the reason why, lots of reasons why, but let's just get into it. So the $33 million in dead cap space that you alluded to the most in NFL history, it didn't really matter because even if the Eagles kept him, they would still be having to pay that money regardless. So it was one of those things that we talked about last week. If they were going to be able to make this trade happen, they would have to make some of these monetary adjustments, just like the Goff and Stafford trade that we alluded to as well. Next on the podium that we could talk about, we're going to talk about the fact that Wentz was 28th out of 33 quarterbacks in the whole league in QBR last year. Wow, that's what you call garbage. People say, oh, no, he was good like 4 years ago. Yeah, great. He was good 4 years ago. You know what he's been doing since then? Nosediving. So the fact that not only the Eagles get a pick this year, a third or a second, whatever it is this year, that next year they could turn that next year's pick into a first round pick. What? Oh my gosh. The fact that the Eagles are getting some picks out of this, they might get 2 potential starters. They're getting rid of that negative energy. They're getting rid of all that Jesus praising he does all the way through the locker room every single second of every single day. So definitely the Eagles, it pains me as much to say, they definitely got the big victory in this one. Carson Wentz is a bust. He's garbage. He's not going to do anything for the Colts. I'll be surprised if he makes it past week 6 this year for the Colts.
Well, for the Philly to get that number 1 pick, you'd have to pay 75% of the season or 70% and make the playoffs, which means he would be good. So everyone's talking about, Frank Reich was his coordinator in 2017 when he had a pretty good season. He did have his second lowest completion percentage that year, around 60%, but he threw 33 touchdowns that year to just 7 interceptions. I know you like to call him, what do you call him? Wenzel sucks a lot?
Wenzel suck a lot, because when they drafted him, they called him Wentzylvania, and now he's Wenzel suck a lot. So I think that really the Frank Reich, the pairing there has to do more with the team around Carson Wentz than it does have to do with Carson Wentz himself, obviously, because they were able to win a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. And we know how good Nick Foles is anywhere else besides Frank Reich, and he is hot garbage. So the fact that I think it has to do with more of the Eagles team around him, how good they were, that offensive line, that defensive line, just those parts, they just all gelled together. So the fact that they were able to plug in Nick Foles into that lineup and win a championship has more to do with that team than as collectively as it does to Frank Reich. I think Frank Reich's going to find a lot of the same problems that Shanahan's finding over in San Fran, with having to tailor your offense around the failures of your quarterback and not being able to your quarterback to enhance your offense, but obviously prohibit it from moving to that next level. So I love Frank Reich, but unfortunately, Phillip Rivers wasn't that great last year. He was about 3 times better than Carson Wentz was last year. So we could talk about, the Eagles were a terrible team. They didn't have a lot of weapons. They didn't do this, do that. You know what Deshaun Watson did? He balled, and they went 4-12. So you could still ball out of control and still have a garbage team around you, but Carson Wentz is just garbage. So
well, yeah, Rivers did throw for 4,100 yards, almost 4,200 yards last year, something Wentz has never done in his career. I think his highest was around 4,000. But I think the Colts may have won in this trade because, first of all, they have a pretty solid team around them. They do need some help at left tackle. They could probably add they need a tight end. Jack Doyle is the only tight end on the roster right now, which there had been rumors about Zach Ertz coming, the Eagles and Colts were talking, but I think it was more, they were talking the Wentz trade, not the, they bring in someone like Jonnu Smith or Hunter Henry like that in the offseason. But the Colts have a pretty solid team around him, like Wentz had when he was that Super Bowl year, 2017. Philly still has, like you said, that big dead cap hit. They don't really have a quarterback right now. We don't know if Jalen Hurts is a quarterback in the future. Will they draft one at 6? Will they move down? So there's a lot of question marks there. And I think the Colts really didn't have to give up all that much because they do have a lot of pieces already. And if Wentz does pan out and does have a good year there, does, get back to the form we saw him in his Super Bowl season, the Colts definitely won in this deal. Like, they already have a great running game behind him where he didn't have that last year in Philly. They have some really solid receivers, young receivers. They may draft a receiver, but they kind of like their wide receiver room. So I actually think the Colts win in this deal because Philly's just a mess. They're still struggling with cap space. They're cutting all these guys. They cut Deshaun Watson, looking to get rid of Zach Ertz. So I think Philly Deshaun Jackson. Yeah, sorry. And they do have 11 draft picks coming up in this draft, so they're going to have to rebuild through the draft. But it'll be interesting to see what they do going forward if they bring in like a bridge quarterback, like a Ryan Fitzpatrick for a year, or if there's a quarterback at number 6. So, but I think Philly's going to be a mess for a few years to come.
This was definitely a debate I definitely had on Twitter this week with one of our co-hosts, Evan Bush, El Bushman, and some of the other streaming casts on FanStream as well, some of the other sports shows. And yeah, that's great. If he does pan out, they do win. The problem is that he's not going to pan out, and there's no way shot in hell. So the fact that they gave up 2 potential starters to get nothing in return, I think just shows that the fact that the Eagles are going to win this pick, because they do need those picks and anything to get rid of that negative vibe throughout the locker room, which is one thing, like I alluded to, that the Texans need to do before the season starts. They should do it now before the draft and get a bunch of draft picks, but they need to have that negative juju out of the locker room before the season starts, before that team gels together and divides before the season starts. But obviously the Texans are a mess, and that front office is a bunch of idiots. But yeah, I guess in time will tell, but that's in a lot of things we'll see, in time will tell. Is this guy going to be a bust? Is this guy going to be a bust? Well, I already think Wentz is a bust. So I think
time will tell. So if he can't succeed here with a team that's already built and Frank Wright, his old offensive coordinator, is he just done? Or do we see him play maybe back up somewhere? I
thought he was done. I thought he was done after last year. I think he should be playing in Canada with the Alouettes and join the Montreal Rays up there, and start playing with them. So, all
right. So not a Wentz fan. We found that out about Taylor. Nope. Not a Wentz fan. All right. Well, now that the Wentz trade is done, the next big name there is Sam Darnold. The Jets kind of, they're sitting there at the number 2 spot, which every mock draft I see them taking, what's his name at number 2, the guy from BYU at number 2. So what should they do? What is now we saw Wentz got traded for a second and a third, possibly a first rounder. Should the Jets trade him? What is he worth? Is he worth more than Wentz? Because he has been abysmal. I mean, he had a few flashes. Again, he had the mono. He's playing for Adam Gase. He's playing for the Jets. So he has a lot already going against him when he got brought into that organization. I like that. Sam Darnold, the old quarterback. So if you're the Jets GM, you got a new coach and everything there, what are you doing?
I'm getting rid of him. Remember how I alluded to Carson Wentz being 28 out of 33 quarterbacks with the worst QBR in the league? Sam Darnold was 33rd out of 33 quarterbacks in QBR last year. So he started his career with his first pass with a pick 6, and that just goes to show how the rest of his career is going to go. He had 10 starts in college anyway, and all those stats just prove how garbage people with less than 20 starts in college go prove themselves to be garbage in the NFL, and he's just another one. I mean, unfortunately, just because you have good measurables and you have a good arm and you're pseudo athletic doesn't mean you're good in the NFL. You have to be at least a little bit intelligent, maybe able to read defenses, make your checks, be able to call your own play every now and then. And, you have flashes of brilliance, which causes teams to hang on to these guys for a little bit longer, like the Wentz. But Sam Darnold's he's garbage. If the Jets can get anything for him, great. I'll take a 6th rounder for him. I'll take anything for him. But just give me something else. Let's get rid of Gase. Let's get this cupboard clear and fresh. just like the Texans, just like the Eagles. Let's start brand new. Sam Darnold, he won't be playing with Al Lutz, but we'll be playing with the Argos up in Toronto. So have fun up there, Sam Darnold.
I love how we're starting the show with our big topics of the 2 worst quarterbacks in the league right now, but there's a lot of teams that seem some interest in him because he's got 1 year left on his rookie deal. He's less than $5 million against the cap with that numbers. I've seen names like the Pats floating around. Maybe the Washington football team takes a bet on him. So you think he's worth less than, because he is 4 or 5 years younger than Carson Wentz. So you don't think he's worth a second and third rounder as well?
No. I'll throw a fifth at him, maybe a fifth and a sixth, but he's going to be a backup. And as a backup in this league, you're probably going to play 1 or 2 games, unless you have someone like a Brady who's going to play every single game, or a Rodgers. For the most part, if you're a backup in this league, you're going to play 1 or 2 games and get a spot start here and there. Ask the Broncos, who didn't even have a quarterback for 1 game. So
I saw something was the 49ers sits behind Jimmy G, who we know is going to get hurt. Learn a little bit from Jimmy G. I don't know. I was upset when the Browns didn't draft him number 1 overall. I really wanted him, and they took Baker. And man, I'm biting my tongue on that one because I'm really glad.
You wanted Darnold. You wanted Darnold instead of Baker.
I thought Baker had an attitude. He had a chip on his shoulder. I didn't think he'd be good for the locker room. And little did I know, I do feel bad for Darnold, though. He does deserve an opportunity, I think, somewhere else, because the scouting reports are great on him. And then he just was stuck in that garbage New York Jets system with Adam Gase.
He was the same thing as Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez only had about 15, 16 starts at USC as well, same USC type deal. And he went to the Jets, and, he led him to the NFC championships, but those were despite his play, and then when, butt fumble happened, and then he obviously dwindled out and ended up with the Eagles, which is where he probably should be, a garbage organization. So, makes sense. I think he should go somewhere new, but I don't think he should be the starter.
And you think they should right away draft, number 2 overall, Zach Wilson, or do they try to make a trade for Watson? Zach Wilson, okay.
Yeah, draft Zach Wilson, throw him in the fire, and let's get this new era of Jets football going. You don't want a quarterback controversy going. You don't want Sam Darnold, people that are still, allegiant to him.
Is there any
have divided
in New York?
Well, I don't. He's been their one yearning piece of hope every single year. Oh, he had mono 1 year. Oh, so now he's got COVID. Oh, he's coming back. Oh, so there's always something going on with him where he needs like a 10th chance. But unfortunately, when you go in and you do play, you're horrible. You're last out of every quarterback. So you're dead last. So, and horrible everything. So sorry, Sam Darnold, go be garbage somewhere else.
Maybe he tried to win those 2 games just to secure his job, so they wouldn't get, Trevor Lawrence
at the end of the year.
Up now because they're going to take Zach Wilson at number 2. Now, a veteran quarterback. We just talked about 2 young guys. A veteran quarterback where there's some controversy now in Pittsburgh, where they said Ben Roethlisberger is our quarterback for now. That's it's interesting. He had a second highest career touchdowns last year. He had 33 touchdowns, I believe, where he had 34 in 2018. His numbers were not bad, but he is going to be 39 years old. He's owed $41 million. It was the worst 11-0 team I'd seen this year. They barely beat your Cowboys, barely beat the Jags. So do they move on? Is this the last? And he doesn't seem to have any plans to retire. So do they move on? Obviously, you've got to trade it. I guess you trade him, you cut him. I don't know who's going to take him.
No, I think they're gonna roll with him 1 more year. Back to the QBR. I'm not big on these QBR stats, but he was 22nd, which was 1 behind Mitchell Trubisky. So I don't know where that's just a stat to throw out there. Anyone on the bottom half of the QBR, your job's kind of in jeopardy. So I think they're going to give him a flyer. I think they are going to get some other quarterback in there. I think they kind of know that Mason Rudolph isn't the guy. He may be a good spot starter every now and then. He's kind of gritty. He's kind of, got some love from the Pittsburgh fans there for his play, but he's obviously not the guy that's going to lead you to the next level. And Big Ben showed last year that he is not mobile at all. And he is, he still can. Somehow he can still make some shimmy moves and make people miss in the backfield somehow, some way, shape, or form. But I don't know. And he could throw the deep ball okay every now and then. He overthrows a lot, it looked like, or it seemed like from when I watched a lot of those games. He had a lot of wide open people that he overthrew. So I think they're going to roll with him 1 last year and that'll be it. I mean,
Well, I mean, your backups.
no one wants them.
Yeah.
No one's going to take them.
No.
So
then he just retires, at 40 years old and rides off in the sunset. Yeah, because you got Mason Rudolph, who is not a starting quarterback, and they're, got that Dwayne Haskins. They got some deal on Dwayne Haskins to see if that works out. But who knows with him as well? Like, he doesn't seem to be disciplined enough to be in the NFL. Maybe being that Steelers system might help him a little bit, but I don't see either of those two. I did hear maybe they could bring in a bridge guy like a Fitzpatrick or Teddy Bridgewater. But still, Teddy Bridgewater is going to be owed $10 million wherever he goes. And I don't know if you want to spend that money on him for a year. So,
well, that's what I was talking about with the Colts. Was they were talking about, they didn't really have anything else, a better option besides Wentz. And I was like, well, you could have gone Bridgewater. You could have gone Fitzy. I would rather take Fitzy than Wentz any day. And then, or you could have even taken Nick Mullins. Nick Mullins is worse on the QBR than Wentz, but I like Nick Mullins better than I like Carson Wentz. So I don't know, but yeah, back to Pittsburgh. I think they're going to roll one more year with them, and
I hope they do. As a Browns fan, I hope they do. And I hope it's a mess in the locker room because he doesn't want to be there and he's not happy. And then I hope they end up last in the AFC North and never make the playoffs again. And the Browns are the best.
Well, he's got weird confidence issues where when they play play a bad game one week, or he plays a bad game and he's like, oh yeah, well, I don't know, this might be it, I don't know, blah blah blah. He's very weird. But then he plays good and then he's like the cockiest person ever. So it's like,
yeah,
I don't know. I think they need to move on from him, draft someone this year and maybe low rounder and take a flyer on someone. I don't even know who the low round QBs are this year, but
yeah, it's definitely an interesting offseason for quarterbacks. It really is. There's a few other guys I want to go through real quick. Is Dak Prescott going to be a Cowboy?
Yes.
Okay, so he's not going anywhere. Deshaun Watson, is Houston going to get rid of him?
They have to.
They have to.
We talked about this last week. I don't know what they're doing. I would do it before the draft so they could get a first rounder this year. It's going to be a lot like the other ones that you want to trade 4 first rounders for the next 4 years and trade another big money player and go from there. But they need to move on from them to get the toxic energy out of the locker room. And since they're getting JJ Watt out of there, they're going to need some new folk or,
leadership
new leadership within that locker room. And with him spouting negativity to everyone, it's not going to be good.
Yeah, I think Carolina really is trying hard because they've just released 4 guys that freed up almost $30 million in cap space. If they do get rid of Teddy Bridgewater, that's enough money to bring in Watson. And as Bridgewater's unfollowed every Carolina Panther thing, taken down all his pictures of the Panthers, so he's unhappy there. So I think Carolina may trade that spot. I forget what draft pick they have, but it's pretty high up there. I don't know, 6 or 8 or something like that.
Yeah, they were even talking about trading CMC for him, and stuff like that, throwing both of them in there. So trying to make that money work. It's all about making the money work. We did see the cap go up $5 million from last year, which we thought it was going to go down. So the fact that it went up a little bit is helpful, but you're still going to see, just like we already have, Kawan Short from the Panthers got cut. A lot of these veterans who have been good in the past are going to be cut.
Well, and I feel bad for Bridgewater because he had his second best season behind that 2015 Minnesota year there. He did have trouble getting in the end zone, but he didn't have CMC. So when you don't have that number one running back, it's, you can't just give it to the rock and let him run it in. It is tough. So I kind of feel bad. Bridgewater's gotten the short end of the stick with his injury, and then he came in for New Orleans, played great, and then he had a pretty much career year there last year. And so maybe Houston, if they do trade for Bridgewater and some picks, that might be an interesting scenario there. Fitzpatrick, who's taking Fitzpatrick?
Oh, it's tough, man. He may just stick it out in Miami. It's hard. I mean, he becomes a folk hero anywhere he goes. And so the fact that, Tua's still Tua, once again, back to the QBR, he's one of the worst in the league. So he's not very good. They do a lot of, once again, tailoring the offense around his skill set, which is really just bootlegs and screen passes. So I think he stays at Miami. He likes the warm weather. He seems to. He's older. I just love how
a lot of retirees down here. He's close to retirement.
Yeah. I just love how he plays. I mean, even when he scrambles, he dives head first and runs people over. So I just love him playing. I love watching him play.
Yeah, and he went to Harvard. Nobody ever talks about that. So.
JJ Watt. What do you think about the JJ Watt?
Well, that's my question. Is he washed up or is he worth it? He's supposed to make with the Texans, or was supposed to make around 17.5 million. So he's going to command between 13 and 15 million on any of these teams. He had 5 sacks last year, which was far from his best years. He's missed like 30 something, almost 40 games in the last 5 seasons. I mean, I've seen 11 or 12 teams that are possible here. I mean, he literally could go anywhere. Dallas being one, Cleveland being another. Would you want the Cowboys to pick him up?
Sure. Why not? I mean, I don't like him. I mean, I like him. I mean, as a humanitarian, I think he does a lot of stuff for the community, and he does a lot of stuff for the cameras. You know, when the camera's on, he definitely does a lot of stuff, make it be known that he's doing a lot of stuff for the community. But yeah, he's clearly on the backside, if not the end. But he, even if he comes in and makes a play a game, I'll take it, I guess. Like if he's going to be in a passing situation, you want to bring him in, cool. But I don't know. You're not going to pay him a lot. You're not going to.
Well, that price tag is a little high for a guy at the end of his career.
Yeah, every team's going to be different. It all depends on where your cap space are, where you are. I like my edge rushers. Aldon Smith and Lawrence and them. I like who we have there. So I really wouldn't like him in Dallas, but I could see some other teams where maybe he might be that extra person to put him over the edge, like, the Rams. The Rams want to go for it. I could see him going out there. He wants to be in front of the cameras. He wants to do that sort of thing, be in movies, commercials, be in LA. So I could see someone like the Rams or even the Chargers, getting with all the injuries they had on the defensive line last year, and then being on the upswing as well. I mean, there's a lot of teams where an extra edge. I mean, you can never have too many edge rushers. So, but it's all if you could get it for the right money, I think.
Yeah. So I think that I don't know. Those are the first times I heard the Rams or the Chargers from your mouth. Everywhere else I've seen a lot of Pittsburgh. Put all 3 Watt brothers together in Pittsburgh. I've seen a lot of. I've seen a lot of Green Bay. He played in Wisconsin, so maybe that. I mean, I would like him on the Browns. Olivier Vernon is becoming a free agent this year, and Myles Garrett does need somebody else with some help there. Vernon was our second leading sack guy there. I don't know if he wants to come to Cleveland. I don't know. Cleveland's a great town, but everyone's like, nobody wants to go to Cleveland. So, but again, with that $15 million price tag, he's probably going to demand. Cleveland does have a lot of room under the cap, but I don't know. I'm not sure if I want, an older guy playing there next to Myles Garrett, maybe bringing someone younger that we can have for a while for the future there. So, but yeah, we're going to do a little NBA All-Star game, but you know what? We are almost out of time here. So
I'm going to go on our NBA thing. We're talking Dame or Luka. I'm going Luka. Luka's almost doing a triple-double this year, as he did last year and every year, and he's amazing. So yeah. Dame's had his Dame time, and now it's Luka time. So
I think really the only argument for that is that Portland's got a better record. They
did beat Luka the other day.
Yeah, and even Luka was like, I shouldn't be here, and Damian Lillard doesn't care. He's like, I don't give a crap about that. So
no one wants to go to the All-Star game this year anyway.
Yeah, I'm not. Are you gonna even watch it? I mean, no. Yeah. Does anyone? They put all the All-Star events in like a Sunday afternoon. So I don't even know why they're having it. They pulled out, they put it back together and everything. So it's I don't know.
Spring training, baby. Spring training and hockey. There we go. Blue Jays.
Blue Jays are starting the season in Florida actually because they can't keep going back and forth.
That's right. Yep. We're going to be the Dunedin Blue Jays. I'll be there.
Dunedin. So awesome.
See you guys there.
Hopefully we'll have some more answers for you guys next week on some of these trades and signings, and hopefully have some more big news in football because it's kind of slow in the sports world these days. But you guys all have a great week. We will see you next Monday. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Sports Caffeine, available for streaming on fanstreamsports.com and FanStream Sports, the app.